How's it going, YouTube? Coming in today with another video, and today, guys, the brand new is going to be a very big video, and this is because I've talked a lot about Blue Eyes, about how much I don't like it, and how much I feel like the deck is just going to be bad. Again, objectively, right now, everyone who's like, oh my god, tier 1 threat, Blue Eyes, like, Ryziel and Malice are just decks in the format to you, you know, like, that's insane, because it's like, Blue Eyes or Brick Eyes will never do what those decks are doing, what Tier was doing, what Goki was doing. Like, you can get new toys to play with in a deck, but it doesn't mean that that makes the deck that great. Do I think that Blue Eyes will top here and there because of sheer representation? Sure. I think the first time that someone gets to go to regional, let's say like this weekend even, someone goes and tops. I'm not going to be surprised that it happens because, again, so many people are playing with the shiny new toy, right? So that just means that with the base number of people playing it, someone's bound to get into the top cut. But that doesn't mean that we can't lab and make the deck that much better. Now, I got destroyed on Twitter over the last day just with responses of, this build is awful, and why would you do this? And I'm going to show you why I innovate the way that I do and explain card choices and talk deeper into deck building than I have in any other video. And that's because every time that I find a deck that I deem bad, and this isn't just saying in general like, oh, if it's not the best deck, it's a bad deck, which is kind of true, but that's another story. There's always ways to improve, and there's always ways to make something work better in a format. So I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you have any conflicting thoughts on the deck list or the ideas, let me know down below, because number one, overall, I made a big tweet about this too, is the thing that makes me the most frustrated with the Yu-Gi-Oh community, right? And there's nothing wrong with net decking, but I feel like most times people will just absolutely stomp on anything that's not the standard build unless one of the pro players talk about it and they say like something else is better. Because like there's so many situations, and I'm going to talk about this later, but like Dinkabui, who would have expected Fire King to go off and win Birmingham? No one. But he made the deck list that was good enough to do so. So, in my opinion, everyone will laugh at anyone for making a build and going to an event until it tops, and then they're a genius. And that is like the most toxic, awful thing I've ever seen in my life, and it's very common in this community. And I feel like that's something that just has to change. I love innovation, I love deck building, I love deck theory, I love tech options, I love explaining tech options, and I talked about this in a video prior. If somebody does something different, let's not make the first thing just absolutely destroying them. Let's ask why and try to understand what they're trying to solve, like what the issue is and how they're trying to fix it. And I feel like that's how deck building should go, because theory is the most fun part of this game for me. Being able to just go over ideas and spitball and overcook and then undercook and then try to find somewhere in the middle, right? That's the best part of this game. So I hope that you understand that's my angle for this video, of just really wanting us to come together more with theory and explaining theory, rather than just being like, you're bad and that's not standard and I have no other reason as to why you're bad. Like, that's so ignorant. I hate that. So if you're the same way, let me know down below in the comments as well. I would appreciate the feedback. But if you haven't checked out my sponsors over in RW, Cloud, Gem, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, or Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so all down below in the description. Also, subscribe to the channel as we are reaching 30,000. I'm very excited to get there. Also, I know a lot of people are probably going to comment, but you said this deck was bad. Why are you making a video on this? I do believe that Blue Eyes is very bad. Brick Eyes is probably one of the worst decks ever printed, alongside Alien. It just is. It's very, very bad. But there is a standard build everywhere, and no one's using the good dragon cards. They're just leaning real hard into only Blue Eyes cards, when dragon is one of the most saturated card pools that we have, with some of the most broken cards in the game. So I am taking a lot of those cards and implementing them into the dragon deck, because if you watch my channel, you know that I played Dragon Link for a long time, and I love dragon. I don't like Blue Eyes, but I like dragon. So I made my own Dragon Link Blue Eyes deck. and I hope that you enjoy. I may have gotten a little bit overzealous and jumped ahead, but this is very true to me, is a lot of people are like, you can't be creative until you top, and then you're a genius. So stop the mentality. It's a bad mentality to have. Listen to people, listen to the why, and don't yell at them for the how. We do have a few new cards right now. There are other ones, but these are like the most important ones in my opinion. You have Wishes for Eyes of Blue, which is essentially just the in-archetype melody, which is pretty cool. I do like this a lot. Very similar to like the White Forest cards, where it literally just says add Valor if you want to. If you need an extender, you always can grab that too, just because of the fact that you have the Link 1 that can grab Mausoleum of White. This build also, by the way, is a way to solve the issue of getting impermed on the Link 1, because that's the number one thing I've heard people complain about in this deck, is they're like, oh, my Link 1 got impermed, what do I do? And I'm like, there's other ways that we can mitigate that, because there are better cards that you can play, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Ultimate Spirit Dragon, very good card. Omni that you can just tag into whenever. It's very solid. And then Maiden is probably the best card that we could have gotten for this deck, and that's literally just like using the card from your hand or field, sending it to the graveyard, and just activating True Light, which True Light gets you to things like Wishes or Reborns, a Blue Eyes. So pretty strong. These cards overall are really good for the archetype, but you will see how we can combo off with them a little bit later. The main focus of the deck has always really been Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. The card's very good. Again, it does not stop Nibiru, so don't let anyone tell you that it does. It does not stop Nibiru. It does give you a graveyard negate and then tags into the bigger one, but the card is very solid overall. It's a very good card. So this is a very bread and butter list from the OCG right now. Playing the Primate cards, 3 Maiden, 3 Sage, and just the other Blue Eyes cards. Looking at this right now, though, it's not very good just in general, because, like, you have the Primate cards, but, like, there's no secondary engine, because, like, even the Primate cards I don't really count as more of a secondary engine, because it's just doing the same thing the main deck is doing and giving you a Blue Eyes body. So I wanted to do a different engine within the engine that'll let you do 2 separate things while also combining the 2, if that makes sense. Whereas in this, if you open up like Maiden and Primate cards, they're effectively just trying to do the same thing, which isn't necessarily going to help you play through the interruptions that your opponent will already have for you. Your deck should try to do 2 different things. Because if you are just planning on doing one thing, that's how you play like a mono deck and then get debarriered and pass, right? Like that just doesn't feel good. I'm not saying debarrier is good here, but very similar situation. It is nice though when you play a build like this, because you can play cards like Dominus Purge, and you also can play like the Blue Eyes Trap card that's like a multi-pop. I also would never main deck that card. That's definitely just like a side deck card. And a lot of people are like, but what if you get Fuad? Don't really care. We just handle it the same way we already handle it with Ash and Call By and making a seal, right? Like you just make a half board, which has always been fine. But overall, for me, I definitely think that we can spice up the build a little bit more, and I'm going to show you exactly what a test hand of my build looks like. All right, let's go ahead and draw into a random hand here. This hand's insane. Like, this hand's also just actually crazy. So we can go main 1 here. You have a lot of different ways you can start your turn off. I'm just going to start with Black Metal Dragon, because we just want to make sure that if Droll's going to get dropped on us immediately here, that it's fine. Chainlink 1 Spirit, Chainlink 2 Black Metal Dragon. Go ahead and grab your 2 cards here. This is going to be the Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. This card allows you to send a level 5 or higher normal monster to the grave and special summon it from the hand. This card's actually really strong here for that reason alone. So you reveal it, you dump the Blue Eyes, and then you summon it. So now we're in a position where we can just go Link 2 and summon Seal. So we're already Nibiru proof, which is great. And another reason that's really impactful to run these cards is the fact that you can run the Red MD, and if you get nibbed here, you can just summon back out the Red MD from deck and then bring back a monster and summon the second Seal. So even at this point now, we can just go Lubellion effect here. We can add a Magnamut. Then we can use the Maiden of White here to go ahead and get our True Light. So you have a couple different options here as far as like what you want to do. You definitely have the ability to use Dragon Shrine, which I'll show you why is so good. We can go ahead and Dragon Shrine, dump Blue Eyes, and then you dump the Galactic Spiral Dragon. This card's very strong. You don't even have to get to the spell here, the wishes, if you don't want to. We can just go the True Light here and then bring back out the Blue Eyes, which will then go ahead and use the Maiden to bring it back out. You have so many different ways to play here, which is kind of crazy. So even now, you can go directly into a Spirit, which is fine, but you also can go summon out the Galactic here, then go overlay with these two. You can make like a Zombie Vamp. This also helps under Droll. I played a game earlier where I was able to summon this off of the Zombie Vamp and go off completely under Droll. So we can go ahead and detach, and we're going to mill 4. So here, we're going to be able to hit 2. You could summon back out the Maiden, which isn't bad either. It just gives you another card here. But I'm just going to go ahead and summon out the Black Metal Dragon again. So we have like a lot of different options here too, which is cool. I'm going to go ahead here and just use Magnemite, and I'll just banish out like the Meteor Dragon. It's fine. We'll go ahead and use Magnemite, get rid of this, and we'll summon back out our Lubellion. Go Lubellion effect here, of course, and then get into our Regained. Here, what we can do is get rid of both of these and go into IP. And then we can go into our Red MD off of the Black Metal, because it's not once per turn. Go and use this to banish this, which will then activate this to put this back and draw a card. Then we can use this to bring back out the Blue Eyes. And then get rid of these two and make her Spirit. I really do like lines like this. I think they're very strong. One of the things that you can consider doing is before you summon out the Spirit and you have this on board at the moment, we did end up milling the wishes here. So what we could do is declare the wishes here, and then we could attach the Neo Blue Eyes to our Blue Eyes here, get rid of both of these, and then we can summon out our Tyrant. And the Tyrant's also an 8, so you can just use these two now and then summon out the Spirit. And so on top of everything you already have, you also have the Neo effect to protect Engrave. It's during either player's turn when a card effect is activated that targets the Blue Eyes you control, you can banish this card and negate the activation and destroy that. So you do have another layer of protection for your Spirit or your Ultimate Spirit if you bring that out as well. Here is the build for you. We do have the 3 Ash, the 3 Valor, and then, of course, the Bestials. You're going to have a little less non-engine in this deck than you usually would, unless you want to cut other cards down. You want to be able to play some more non-engine, but you just play so much engine that you just kind of gas through most boards anyway, which is nice. But you are playing a lot of Bestials, you're playing a couple hand traps here, which is good, and then post side, of course, we can go into anything else that you want to. But I really do like this deck a lot because it gives you a lot of different ways to kind of maneuver through lines. And again, the number one complaint I hear about this deck is getting impermed on Spirit, so it's one of those things where it gives you an alternate line to be able to get into the same plays, but you're able to get there a lot more efficiently through a lot more hand traps that would matter a lot more. And again, that's another thing too, where if you can get to multiple 8s on the board as well, you can go into Vamp and play through things like Droll. I really do think that this is a lot better as far as playing a Blue Eyes deck. It's also going to be a lot more budget friendly, because I know people are trying to figure that out right now with the Primite cards, but I really don't think that you even need to play the Primite cards. I think they're like fine, but I don't really think that they're like the way to play it, because yeah, you're playing vanillas, but it doesn't really mean that you need to play cards to support the vanillas, because last I checked, vanillas are just bad Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and unless you're playing Lokai, I'm not really too concerned about it. So that's one thing where I feel like you're playing Dragon, just play Dragon. Just use the cards that you already have access to just full combo your opponent, no problem. But it's GG here. I appreciate y'all. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I hope this gives you a different outlook to deck building, and I hope it gives you a different outlook to just playing the game and playing Blue Eyes. But I hope you have a great day, and I'll check you all in the next video. Thank you.